what I mean?
Apparently he did alright in Dunkirk. I mean, he was one of the leads.
I don't want to hear it. I would have done alright in Dunkirk too. Yeah? Welcome, one and all, to another edition of the Gym Rat Pack Does Entertainment with me, Larry Olubamiwo,
Mr. L Rock,
and Damien Ashley.
Yes.
Cheesy.
We are actors and gym rats, and we're here to give you our perspective on the latest entertainment news and reviews. Don't mind the gunshots. Only joking. We're not incompetent.
a different kind of ghetto.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But anyway, so we have a few topics that we want to dive into. So let's begin.
Right, first one.
Yeah, first topic is Marvel's Eternals has the lowest critic rating of any MCU movie. That's shocking.
Is that ever?
At the moment, yes.
In terms of the Marvel phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the MCU movies.
No, I'm talking about, it's not like taking into Blade and account stuff came before.
Oh, no. We're talking about MCU. MCU.
Oh, right.
We're talking about MCU.
Okay.
And that includes Thor 2, which was a bit crap.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3, which was a bit crap.
Yep.
Yeah. So, let me... before I say why I think it is...
Mm-hmm. No, say what you say. Yeah.
We ain't going first. You go first with this.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, first, let me read you the article.
Radio.
Righty-ho.
So, this article comes from, I think, Screen Rant. And... Give a second. Eternals Rotten Tomatoes score drops the lowest of any MCU movie. Eternal's score on Rotten Tomatoes has dipped all the way down to 65%, which is the lowest of any film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. With a little over a week to go until Marvel Studios' next blockbuster hits theaters, Eternals has already had its world premiere on October 18th, and since then, the press embargo has been lifted, allowing critics to publish their reviews and share their thoughts on writer-director Chloe Zhao's entry into the MCU. So far, they have been decidedly mixed. The upcoming film is centered around an immortal alien race who were created by the Celestials and instructed to never interfere in human affairs unless the Deviants are involved. But after the return of half the Earth's population in Avengers Endgame provides the necessary energy for the Deviants to return, the Eternals must come out of hiding and band together to protect humanity from their evil counterparts. And it goes on to say who stars in it, which, we won't go into. But
it's not good.
It's at the moment, I mean, it's still a little bit early. I mean, we haven't even seen the film, have we?
It's not out in the UK.
It's not out in the UK, that's right. It's out in America. But I've been reading the review, like from John Campion and a few other people, and John Campion likes the film, for instance, but he says he can see why people wouldn't like it as much because he said it's not like every other MCU film.
Right.
So I feel like that has a factor to play in it if he's correct, because obviously we haven't seen the film. I also feel like I feel like because the Eternals are not really known, and also
I was thinking that.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about the critic rating, because obviously an audience will be different.
Yeah.
But the critics will still be like an audience.
Yeah.
But they're looking for more how the film is put together. But I have a feeling, because the Eternals are not a known entity, plus the direction of Chloe Zhao, who we wouldn't expect to be directing this sort of film.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that it hasn't gelled well.
Right.
And therefore it's got a mixed review. So I wouldn't say it was a. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I wouldn't say from the reviews that it's a bad film. But it's just not what probably critics were expecting.
Okay.
That's what I feel anyway.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Leon, hearing the news that it's the lowest critic rating? Bearing in mind, we've had Thor 2 and Iron Man 3, which are some of the worst MCU movies.
Yeah. Well, for Thor 2 and Iron Man 3 went off the basis of Thor, and Iron Man 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So everyone still went there.
Yeah.
For do you know what I mean? That's
yeah.
why it went on the their long story short, I think that Eternals, like what you're saying, who knows? They're not known. It's just the Eternals, who are they then? Like if you ask your missus who the Avengers are or who this is, and they know.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Eternals. Name 3 characters to average Joe.
Yeah.
Dunno.
Yeah.
Dunno.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to look at it from a critic's point of view and how they would look at the film.
But then, in saying that, like you said, it doesn't mean it's a bad film.
Yeah.
Because there's been, you think that MCU have done well.
Oh yeah.
The films have been amazing.
Yeah.
And they can't keep topping the last one.
No.
So someone's got to come at the bottom and someone's got to be at the top.
Well, this is why this needs to be tempered slightly, because we say it's the lowest critic rating of any MCU film, but it's a 65%.
It's 61 now.
A 61. Well, if you'd ask a lot of franchises that would you accept your lowest critic rating of any of the franchise films to be 61%, I think they'll be okay with that.
Yeah, fine with that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
It's just relative, isn't it?
it's very relative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
But not only that, them Rotten Tomatoes guys, they get it wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I remember when they, do you remember when they slated Dave Chappelle for his last, was it the last one?
Yeah.
The thing before, one before.
The one before the
yeah.
last one. They slated it and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they had an agenda at that point.
Well, it's not Rotten Tomatoes. It's the or tomatoes. I mean,
what's the tomatoes?
it's the individual critics.
Yeah.
And to your point, let's remember another film that they slated.
Man of Steel.
And let's remember another film they slated.
What's that?
Apart from Man of Steel, because you're right, that was a brilliant film. Venom, the first one.
Yeah.
Did they slate that one?
They slated
and
it.
I loved it.
I
They
wouldn't give it like
slated
60%. They gave it like 30%.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the audience said a big screw you to them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the amount made at the box office.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Damien, you hearing all this, what are your thoughts on this?
We originally touched on Eternals when the trailers were coming out by saying we didn't see what was going to be the pull for us to go and see this movie. And then I had started to get a little bit of a concern about the film when Feige was putting so much of a push on it, like this is going to change the MCU.
He said he wouldn't be
forced.
surprised if it wins an Oscar.
Yeah, it felt forced.
Yeah,
It felt like he was trying to drum up interest.
Yeah,
because he's never had to do that for previous films before.
No.
Then the other thing that kind of came to mind and I've been thinking about it more the last few days is the fact that you're introducing not just one new character. Like every single time they bring out a Marvel film, unless it's the Avengers movies where you group together all the established heroes, they're introducing a whole plethora of new characters.
Yeah, a whole
in
team.
one go.
Yeah.
And you're overstuffing it. Like you're not enabling yourself to focus on one central character which to drive the narrative. And this has even been picked up on a few views. It's like you've got all this great cast and then the film feels overstuffed.
Right.
And what you end up producing is all these tiny bits of narrative where you're trying to introduce all these new characters in essentially a 2.5 hour epic, but then you end up kind of like blowing your load on that and then not focusing on the core aspect of what the film is about.
Yeah. There's just not enough time.
No, and like from what I've seen of it, like the fight sequences which Marvel are getting to be known for now, especially after Shang-Chi pushing the martial arts aspect, it's like they've said that those are way subpar for Marvel, that the special effects for a Marvel film are underserving of what we're used to, and that to me says, right, did they rush us a little bit? Especially taking into the fact that you've got the cast that you've got on board. You've got Kit Harington writing for Game of Thrones, you've got Angelina Jolie coming in, you've got Miss Chan coming in there, who's like a big thing for the UK, and then you've obviously got like, I never pronounce his name properly, What's his name?
Camille Nanjiani. That's it.
Okay.
You got him in there as well.
Yeah.
And it's like you've got this very big ensemble cast, and it's like, have you done the wrong thing by introducing this team?
Yeah, they've got Salma Hayek in there, Angelina Jolie, you said.
Okay.
And it's just like
mad.
You've kind of introduced all of these guys at one goal, and none of them have had any guest appearances in previous films.
Yeah.
No one's had a time to get to know any of them.
No backstories.
No, it's like, here they all are.
Here they all are.
And everyone's gone, like, we don't know any of these characters anyway. Are we going to, like you said, like, we're going to be pushed to go and see these characters we don't know?
Yeah.
At the same time, it's like, well, we can't focus on one character because we've got all of them to focus on.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're about. And
I heard the villain is very weak in it as well. And I think up until very recently, that was a big problem for Marvel.
Yeah.
Very weak villains. Obviously, Loki. I'm in two minds because a lot of people say Loki's a very strong villain. I'm not sure about that. He's a better villain than most.
I like Loki.
But I like him, but I wouldn't say he's a strong villain.
No.
Right? His motivations are not like, for instance, for me, the two strongest villains in the MCU have been Killmonger and Thanos.
Yeah.
Those two, and then a close third will be Shang-Chi's dad.
Leung.
Tony Leung's character.
Yeah.
That was, you know what I mean? Like, because there's nuances. You can't totally hate them.
No.
Do you know what I mean? You see where they're coming from. You might not agree with what they're doing, but you see where they're coming from.
It's Benicio del Toro's quote when he got asked about doing the Sicario. They said to him, how do you, like, they asked him a question during one of the interviews for the press, and said, how do you connect with villains so much? And he says, it's not that I connect with him. He says that I have to find something about them that I understand their motivations. I have to make them human. He went, it doesn't mean I agree with their motivations and what they do, but I have to understand why they're doing it. And once you find that connection, that through line connection, then you can kind of make it real.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done really well with that Thanos. They gave him like motivations for doing what he's doing. He's not just a 2D bad guy that comes
Exactly.
I'm going to take over the world and kill you. No, he's got
which will be coming up in one of our spoilers, but in here for something else.
Yeah.
But anyway,
no, but he's got an agenda. Like
and Killmonger. Even a non-black person could understand where Killmonger's coming from.
Yeah.
You know, you had your uncle kill your dad, left you in alone. Then you had to fight all this racism that because it was during the period of the Black Panthers. Then you know what I mean. Like, of course you're gonna be bitter, and then obviously because of all that oppression, you've now and you know where you come from. You now want to take over so you can restart the world. Well, I don't agree with that part, and the whole genocide part. You know what I mean? You can understand where that anger comes from. Do you know what I mean? So. Whereas for me, Loki kind of felt like a spoiled brat.
Yeah, he's just,
do you know what I mean?
He's the embittered
brother.
Embittered Dr. Brother.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's why for me it didn't. Obviously, Loki's now evolved.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
So.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen Loki on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
So that was a really good show. I thought.
Definitely.
You still have to. Have you seen it?
4 episodes. Yeah.
Right. So you can see that he's evolved, but. Yeah, I wouldn't say he was a classic, good, nuanced villain. I wouldn't say that. No. But yeah, obviously that Marvel have got a problem with this, and that's what I'm hearing that a lot of people are criticizing about this Eternals movie. And also what going off on it's not a tangent because the Eternals are actually part of Thanos' race.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Thanos gets a mention in this or not.
There's apparently, doesn't his brother or something turn up in this?
Okay, because I don't know. I don't know.
There was talk about, it's either it turns up in this or the next film, but his brother turns up and it's played by one of One Direction. He was in Dunkirk.
Oh my God.
That's what the current. I don't know if it's definitely true or not. But the guy,
you know what? That's another show, you know. That's another show. These people that are just turning up in films. Just because.
That are not actors.
Just because.
You know what I mean?
Apparently he did alright in Dunkirk. I mean, he was one of the leads.
I don't want to hear it. I would have done alright in Dunkirk too.
We still haven't seen the film.
Yeah.
So we await to watch it, you know, and give our review of it. But it's not looking good. It's relatively speaking, obviously, but it's not looking good. So, for the American audience that have seen it, what do you think of it? Do you agree with the criticisms and the critic ratings? And for all you guys who haven't seen it, especially the guys in the UK, like us, does that temper your excitement for the film? Do you want to see this film now? Do the critic ratings not bother you? Leave us some comments down below and let us know.